Free Guy was written by Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn. Here is the official synopsis. A bank teller discovers that he's actually an NPC inside a brutal, open-world video game. This was one of those movies that had an awful trailer. So much so that when I saw it, it didn't even register to me as something that I would watch. And I love Ryan Reynolds. I think that guy's like so charismatic that he can play anything. He's in action with like Deadpool and Weapon X, comedy, like Just Friends, the Blade Trinity role that he played, fucking Green Lantern. I even liked Green Lantern. And Lil Rel is in it also, which is another guy that is hilarious, and I would watch something just because Lil Rel is in it. But the trailer, again, was so bad at describing like what this movie was that it made me not want to watch it. Then I was having dinner with my brother one day, and he told me he saw the movie and he liked it. He described it as Matrix-like, and that's it. He said other stuff also, obviously, but that's it. That was it for me in terms of wanting to watch it. So there's a pro tip for movie marketing folks. I think Matrix-like should be like its own genre. And it's like weird because once somebody says that, it's like your mind opens up into, like, it doesn't have to be exactly like the Matrix, but you know what that means. It's like a different language. It's like the Matrix changed like so much, just like in the zeitgeist, not just like in cinema, and obviously like with the cinematography and literally the way fight scenes are shot and stuff like that, but just like in the possibilities of, and like questions to answers, or just like doubling down on questions of like, why are we here? What's the meaning of life? And playing with themes like oppression and Big Brother and archetypes of God. And that once you label something Matrix-like, you know you're just in for like a different realm of reality, if you will. And me personally, I love that type of shit. So in this movie, Free Guy, they live in a like Grand Theft Auto-like video game. And by they, I mean Ryan Reynolds' character, Lil Rel's character, etc. And most of the characters that we meet. And they are NPCs, or non-player characters, which are driven by AI. So what an NPC is, if you think of like a game like Mario Brothers back in the day on Nintendo, Mario or Luigi is a player character. That's the player that you, as the player, are controlling. The NPCs or non-player characters would be like the mushrooms and like the flowers that shoot fireballs that attack you and like stuff like that. And those like background characters that are moving and like doing things, but they're like programmed to do specific things. And as, you know, gaming and technology evolved, you know, non-player characters do like much more shit. Like think of a game like Grand Theft Auto, which is like an open world, and, you know, a non-player character could be somebody walking down the street that you as a player character punch and he knocks out and his money's exposed and you take all his money. Or the prostitute that you pick up in a car and drive into an alleyway and have sex with. That's an NPC. And NPCs are all programmed to do certain specific tasks and certain specific things to fulfill their roles as background characters in a video game. So Ryan Reynolds is one of these NPCs. And he wakes up every single day, does the exact same thing over and over again. He works at a bank. He wakes up, he has cereal, watches the news, goes to a coffee shop, buys the same exact cup of coffee, and everyone that he interacts with in his world are also NPCs, with the exception of the real player characters within the game, which are everybody around the world that is like hooked on this game that's like super popular. And the NPCs refer to those people as glasses people. And these are the people that have a lot of money and they have cool cars and they can do what they want. And, you know, they're like characters in a video game. Like when you play a video game and you do like wild, crazy shit. And he works at a bank, and Lil Rel is the security guard at that bank. Ryan Reynolds is a teller at the bank. And that bank gets robbed every single day, multiple times. And it's just commonplace because that's what happens at that bank, right? That's one of the coded possibilities for that bank, and the NPCs act accordingly when the bank gets robbed. Now, the true creators of this game, they coded the AI so that they can be like self-learning eventually. At least that was like their goal or their hope. And with Ryan Reynolds' character, that actually happened. And he was triggered by this desire to find the woman of his dreams and like fall in love, which was coded as like a personality trait in this NPC. But when he actually sees the exact woman that he like envisions in his mind and is singing like a vintage Mariah Carey song, which was a great touch, by the way. Mariah Carey is in her prime, my favorite female singer. But anyway, that him seeing her walk by him and like singing or humming a Mariah Carey song like triggered all this shit within him of, oh, that's the woman of my dreams, and like knocked him out of that like loop that he was in of just fulfilling his purpose essentially as an NPC. And then for some reason he dares to like go after her and try to talk to her, and he winds up dying. And then, you know, he wakes up and respawns in his bed like every other morning and then continues his day. But he has her in his head and he's trying to find a way to be able to speak with her. And he winds up taking the glasses off one of the glasses people, like an actual player in the video game. And he puts it on and just sees this whole new world essentially around him of possibilities. And he is able to interact with her. And the story takes off from there. And then she eventually puts him onto the fact that he's an NPC. He doesn't seem to understand like what that is. And, you know, she's kind of like thrown off by the fact that this NPC character is kind of sort of like come to life in a way. And she's on her own like mission or quest like throughout this movie, because she's one of the two original creators of that original AI that actually wound up like working and allowing for that possibility of like growth and AI becoming like sentient in a way. But for like the first half of their interacting, she just thought it was like another player, you know, another one of the glasses people basically. But her quest or mission that she's on is trying to expose the fact that the creator of this game stole that AI technology from her and her partner. Her partner, which is played by the dude that plays the older brother in the Stranger Things series on Netflix. And spoiler alert, he's been in love with her, aka his partner, like in real life. So the fact that she kind of sort of like falls for this NPC character guy is like the perfect tie out to the fact that he coded that NPC to fall in love with her. And, you know, just based or like her type of like characteristics and the type of things that she's into, like vintage Mariah Carey and bubblegum ice cream, etc. And that love story is like a nice B story for the film. Now, what's super cool is that the fact that he dared to like take the glasses and to want more and to like chase that love had like a ripple effect on all the other NPCs within that world. And he kind of had like a similar effect to the other NPCs like Tobey Maguire did in the movie Pleasantville, when he like started seeing color and like describing it to people, and other people started seeing color and like, you know, things changed. Ryan Reynolds' character had that same type of change in like asking the barista where he usually got his regular coffee with 2 sugars and asked her for a cappuccino, and had her like head almost explode in wanting to in trying to figure out what the fuck a cappuccino was and why are you asking for a cappuccino? You always ask for regular coffee with 2 sugars, etc. And then wanting to learn how to make a cappuccino, and then she wanted to do something else, and like I forget what it was, like write a book or do psychology or like try to change the world in some way, something like that. It was really funny throughout as well. Again, Ryan Reynolds, great at that comedic acting. Lil Rel is just a hilarious comic and now comedic actor within his own right as well. And they played off each other very well. Towards the end, which was hilarious, was that like the bad guy that actually did like steal the code from the original creators to use in this game that he popularized, created a character to like kill off this NPC character of Ryan Reynolds because he was getting so big and popular. But he had to like fast track his plans, and the character like wasn't ready yet, so he had like a bunch of like placeholder code in place to like go back and fill in later. So like he would be talking and he would say something, and then he would just say the term catchphrase instead of his actual catchphrase because the coder of the character didn't come up with a cool catchphrase for him yet. Or he would be arguing with somebody and then say adjective. And I thought that was hilarious, especially from a writing perspective, because I was telling my wife, which I actually went to, by the way, to the movies to watch this, because my wife and I, we used to, like pre-pandemic, that's like one of our favorite things to do is actually go to movies, even though, you know, this was available like on like HBO Max, and obviously you could download shit allegedly. But we hadn't been to the movies in over a year and a half. So we went to the movies to go see this, and which was dope, by the way. We almost had like the whole theater to ourselves. But I was telling her on the way out that it was funny because with me, like with stories that I write, and I'm sure other writers go through this as well, and I just never thought of it from like a game coder perspective. But when I'm writing a story, I'll like know that there's like a fight scene that has to happen here, but I'm not ready to write the fight scene yet. And I'm like on a train of thought of where the story's going, so I want to keep writing the story. I'll like put in parentheses, insert fight scene here, and then I'll on the rewrite go back and rewrite it. So it was pretty cool to see from that game coder perspective. Alex Trebek made a cameo in the movie as well. It was really good, man. It was really good. I enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. Free Guy, check it out.